What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Next Win podcast with your host, Aunt Ma, co-host, Joseph Vaseur. And just a little update. We've been uploading episodes every Tuesday to Friday on YouTube. And these have been like 15-minute videos. And then we do our 1-hour episodes as well, which go out on Sundays on YouTube and Mondays on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, and anywhere else that you listen to podcast platforms. So please follow us, subscribe. Also follow us on Instagram. You'll see everything in the description box. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, let us know how you like that too.
Yes, we will love your feedback on this new format that we're doing. For us, it just feels a lot more fresh, and I like it.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how people have been able to afford homes. So Justin sent me a Reddit post. And what did it say? The question, or do you not remember?
I don't remember the question. So
I did a little research. The question, there's a guy on Reddit who said, he makes $120,000 a year, which is more than the normal average. And he still can't afford a monthly mortgage payment. So he's like, how's everybody else affording this?
Right.
And so I think he left out a lot of things in the post. One thing he mentioned was just that, how do people pay like $5,000 a month?
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Because I think people are paying $5,000 a month for almost what I would say is just a regular home.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
exactly.
That's the crazy part about it.
Yeah. So for like a $600,000 home, it would be pretty close to $5,000 a month with a 3.5% down.
Right.
Now, most people do not buy a home that expensive with that low of a down payment.
Got it.
Because no one can afford $5,000 a month. Who can? If you can afford that much, it's probably a millionaire who is buying a very expensive home, and his mortgage is $5,000 to $10,000 a month.
Right.
And that's was like 20 to 40% down.
Yeah, I mean, even with let's say 10% down.
Yeah.
How much does it really bring down the monthly payment?
A lot.
Does it?
We don't have a lender for today on our guest, so I don't want to speak for lenders.
Okay.
But I would say, it's still definitely above $3,000 a month with today's interest rates.
From that $5,000 payment?
From the 10% down. Yeah. So with 10% down, your monthlies would still be about $3,000 a month. Something like that. $3,000 to $4,000 a month.
That's kind of crazy. Like on a $6,000 home?
$600,000.
Or $600,000 home?
Correct.
So with the 3.5, it would be around $5,000 a month. And then with 10% down, it'd be
like $3,000 something a month.
Really?
Yeah. So if interest rates were lower, by like right now we're talking about like 6 to 7% interest rates. If the interest rates were back down to 3 to 4%, even at 4%, it would definitely be under $3,000 a month.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But that's you know what? Maybe with like a 20% down. That's a big factor here. So most of my clients, I would say it's a unicorn client if they have 20% down.
Right.
Not everybody has that, right? And so most people have between 3.5 and 10%. That's the most of my clients. I probably only had 3 clients who had 20% down. So I know it's not normal. So in answering that Reddit user's question about how can people afford, it's by buying a home within your means and your abilities. So you can't buy a single family home, 3 to 4 bedrooms that costs $600,000 if you can't afford $5,000 a month on a 3% down. So you might want to look into, buying a condo, right? Something that costs $300,000 to $400,000. And with 3.5% down, then it's a lot more affordable,
Right.
But what most people are actually doing is they are putting more down to afford a home. That's the answer to the question. Okay.
Yeah. Now, is that coming from like down payment assistance programs or?
No, I'm just saying like if someone has at least 10% down or more, they can afford the monthly payments a lot more.
Mm.
So here's the thing: a lot of my clients, they're thinking, um, I want to buy a $600,000 home, right? This is what I know what I want, um, and it's like a 1,500 square feet home. It has a nice yard, right? I got 3 bedrooms for me and whoever else. Um, but most people can't really afford that, or actually, they don't even need it, right? I would say right now, for your situation, you might not need a 3 bedroom home.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's just you and your girlfriend.
Right.
You guys might be able, you might be fine with a 2 bedroom condo, or townhouse because one, you guys are sleeping together in the same room,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other room can be used for, an office or whatever else you want to do,
Yeah.
game room or whatnot, right? You guys don't have kids yet. So until you outgrow the home and make money off this home, that's when you can really upgrade. So what people don't realize is don't look at how much the home costs because most likely you don't need it. You need to look at how much you can afford every month.
Yeah. I think what's crazy about it is everybody is being sold this, like, I guess in America, it's
Yeah.
like, buy your dream home, this kind of
Right.
thing. Or maybe a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic, you probably could have afforded it. You know what I
Right.
mean? And a lot of people are still stuck in that time where
Yes.
it's like, I could have bought a $600,000 home and have
Right.
it be affordable, but now, a $600,000 home is literally just a basic home
Yeah.
and still can't afford it.
Yep.
Like, in my eyes, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, like, once or people's income levels and all those things used to be able to afford a basic home,
Yeah.
and now people have to look at condos. That's
Well,
kind of
I
crazy.
mean, what's a basic home to you, right?
It could be a 3 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 2 baths.
Because
So, like, another thing is my parents bought. I mean, obviously this was years ago,
yeah.
but like their first home that they were able to afford was a 5 bedroom, I think, like 3 baths,
Wow.
right?
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's super amazing. And I think even though the income levels were lower back then, I
Yeah.
think it was more attainable.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, again, like I said, we have to look at apartments now,
Yeah.
or I mean, condos.
I mean, so for myself, we had a basic home for our very first home. It was $380,000. Okay, let me backtrack for a second. When me and Christina were looking for our first home, right? We were pre-approved for a certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just say it was $500,000. Now, can we afford the payments for a $500,000 home? No, we
Mm-hmm.
can't. So we didn't look at that.
Right.
We looked at what we could afford per month, and that was like $1,500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to find a home that will cost me $1,500 a month. And so when we found that, the home costed $380,000.
Yeah.
So we weren't looking at 500K homes or anything like
And
that.
that was an actual home, or
It was an actual home, a 2 bed, 1 bath. It had a nice yard, 5,000 square feet. It had a pool, but the home was 750 square feet, which was tiny.
yeah,
But it's just me and my wife. We
right.
don't need anything bigger. All we needed was a place to sit, a place to cook, shower, and sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. So, you know, that was my basic home, and it was within our abilities to be able to pay for that.
Right. I think it's just two different markets.
Yeah.
So it's just a different mentality where, like, people that have been in Vegas or grew up in Vegas, they see how they were able to possibly own a home, and then now to be like, yeah, I can't even afford a home. That's kind of crazy.
But there are homes in Henderson and Summerlin that are 350,000 for a 3 bed, 2 bath home. And they're like 1,100 square feet. That's
Mm-hmm.
bigger than my house that I had. I think that's still very good. You can go to the north side or the east side and maybe find something even cheaper. You just have to sacrifice living somewhere that you don't want to. That's what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
The sacrifices have to be made somewhere, right? You can't have it all. At least not in the very beginning.
Yeah, I don't think that's the question though. I think it's just the fact that homes were affordable back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like it's not a question about where you had to live or how small it had to be. It's just homes were affordable to the average person.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it difficult.
I think because we're also in this transition in our world right now where inflation kicked our butts,
Yeah,
but no one got a raise
exactly.
on income.
Yeah,
So until that happens, it will be affordable again. But right now, everyone's still stuck with the same pay from pre-COVID.
exactly. So that's exactly what I'm saying is how do people afford homes like that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just a basic home.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's what's kind of sad right now is like people, uh, I guess, especially right now, people deserve to have a home.
Well, 100%. Yeah.
And to have to like work harder or just like downgrade their lifestyle or whatever just because of inflation, that's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, it would be nice for income levels and then also home prices to balance themselves out so that, or even interest rates to so that people can start affording these homes
Yeah.
again.
Um, a lot of it does have to do with being able to save for a down payment.
Mm,
I didn't even look at a home until I had 100K in my bank account.
mm,
Okay. If I didn't have 100K, I didn't even think I was ready to buy a home.
yeah,
And so luckily when I started running some businesses and I had 100K, that's when I started looking. But it's like there's people that I deal with now who have 100K and they're looking at $700,000, $800,000 homes.
mm.
When I had 100K, I'm still looking at a $380,000 home. You know what I mean? So
Is that just a difference in income levels, like monthly income?
I think I was making pretty good money at the time,
Yeah,
over 10,000 a month by myself,
yeah,
and have 100K in my bank account. But just the fact of spending over $3,000 a month on mortgage was a lot to me. Like,
right.
why do I need to do that when it's just me and my wife?
Mm-hmm.
It's just two people. That's crazy. $1,500 each.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just came from renting for the last 10 years, and when you rent with roommates, you're paying like, well, in the beginning it was like 700, $800 a month,
Right.
right? And then it gets to like $1,200 a month. But I never got to the point where I was paying anything more than $1,000 a month
Yeah.
in rent. So to have a mortgage like that, I was like, man, that's just too crazy.
Right. I was thinking the other day, like, do you think that right now we're gonna start to see more people living with each other, like more roommates, more like people waiting on the sidelines, staying with their families because of these interest rates, or
I think pre-COVID, yes, but COVID changed everybody's perspective because one, people just don't want to be around a lot of people anymore, right?
mm,
Because COVID. And so now that means like everyone's gotten used to not being around people. Um, two, what was my number two? Um, two, with this generation now, people are all thinking about themselves more and what they can do to reach their goals. So that means skipping that whole first step process
yeah,
and go right into owning a home for themselves because they think they've made it.
yeah,
So I think everything's kind of changed.
yeah. Um, Sometimes I hear like all these stories about how like uh people are buying homes like crazy. That you should buy now and all these things. But then I don't see people talking about the bad things. And like on Reddit, you
Yeah.
see a bunch of bad experiences. Like they're not able to rent out their properties because the rent is too high for people or whatever. So, how come nobody really talks about the bad aspects of it?
I think that's like one in a million.
Is it?
So, um,
Because like left and right, you just see people having the same issues in their areas or whatever.
right. I mean, it's,
Um,
it's like when you Google a problem
mhm.
and you find 100 people with the same problem, but no one can figure it out. But there's so many other people who don't have that problem. It's just kind of like there's those loud 100 people who are talking about the same thing, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So there was a time when I was doing real estate here in Vegas and I was door knocking, and I door knock like 100 doors a day. And there was one guy who came from California, and he's like, "Hey, I just bought this home and I can't rent it out. Why can't I rent it out?" All right. So I looked through all his stuff and I find out your rent's too high. You're charging people too much.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Yeah, well, I have to because I won't make any money. I'm going to lose money."
Right.
And then I look, I dig deeper. Well, he put 3.5% down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, bro, you're not going to cash flow by putting the minimal amount and think you're going to make money. You know, it's not that easy. You have to put more money down. You have to work a little bit harder to get some rent. You
Right.
can't have someone pay for your private mortgage insurance that other people don't pay for, you know? Like there's extra fees that you get charged because you don't have a big down payment and you expect your renters to pay that for you? No, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The renters only pay for your mortgage and maybe and property tax, right? And the interest, the mortgage, interest, and property tax. So when you rent it out, that's what it covers. But when you have all these extra fees because of special loan programs and things like that, you shouldn't be charging them for that. So, there's maybe those people on Reddit who are doing that where it's very low down payments and they're like, "Hey, how come I can't rent it out?" Well,
Mm-hmm.
you had a bad realtor. They shouldn't have told you that you could rent it out for that. You know what I mean? And secondly, you can't rent it out with special programs because it's illegal. It's
Mm-hmm.
for you to live in.
Yeah.
So you have a realtor who's telling you all the wrong things or didn't advise you on what you should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of horror stories, even on Facebook and all those
Yeah.
things. And it's not like it doesn't put me in any position. I just wish more people talked about that or talked about solutions and how to stop those things from happening. Because right now, a lot of the information that's being put out is go buy now. You need to buy a home now or whatever. So then
Yeah.
people do, not knowing the repercussions that can happen with it or just not having the full education about it.
I think
And then they're
there's
stuck in these positions where like, oh crap, I can't do this. So then I got to let go of the house or whatever.
right. There's this like what you see on social media is like the top of the page, okay? And between the top of the page and the bottom of the page, there's a lot of information left out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, me being what I think I'm a really good agent, if I say buy now, I will fill up the rest of the page during the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll teach you the whole way out so you don't get fucked over.
Mm-hmm.
But there's those people who will listen to that top page and they don't reach out to that agent. They're like, well, I'm going to do it myself. And they miss all this information and now they're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's happening, right? Because your information on social media is getting put out to millions of viewers, but how many of them are actually reaching out to you and how many are doing it themselves?
Yeah. Why do you think it's that information's not being put out?
Because, well, for me, it's like, if you want a good agent, you got to come to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know a lot and I know I can help you, but if you want things done the right way, you got to reach out to me so I can help you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't do that. They just think they can do it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's people who want to sell their house and they want to sell it without an agent. It doesn't work out very well.
Yeah.
All in all, to be able to afford a home, I think the answer is to buy something within your means. Don't spend too much.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need it. Everything's a stepping stone. It's okay if your first home is a condo or a townhouse. Once 2 or 3 years later, you'll be able to get the home that you wanted and you didn't have to work as hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I love all the input that you had today. That's why you're here with me. And I hope you guys learned a lot from this. And if you guys have any questions or you want to reach out to us, please reach out on our email, thenextwinpodcast@gmail.com, or on our Instagrams that you'll see in the description box. So till next time, guys, we'll see you on the Next Win Podcast.